I wanted to rise. I think we've talked a bit about some of our concerns about this bill previously, and they relate to governance, a lack of rationale for this move, governance in terms of consolidating power under the decision-making of a minister. And I wanted to share in the House, actually, on behalf of the Nova Scotia Federation of Agriculture, the letter that they tabled, because I think it's really important for all of us to consider what they say about this initiative. And I will say it was particularly striking to me because there are a number of important stakeholders in the sector, but I would say that NSFA is a really important stakeholder, my opinion is that we should be working in partnership and in collaboration with stakeholders as we go forward on policy changes and program changes, and that was not done with this. So I will pick up on in the third paragraph of the letter. Since this bill has been introduced, the NSFA have been hearing from several industry partners about their concerns regarding the proposed legislation. The lack of consultation with the industry and the significant shift in organizational structure leaves us concerned about future engagements and priorities of the organization. There are a number of areas we would like to highlight. With the shift to an advisory board, the industry will no longer be leading the priorities of the organization. It is essential that the industry lead the strategic direction and mandate of Perennia. Industry organizations and farmers need to be assured that the work of agricultural extension is led by the subject experts themselves, those with direct experience and expertise, that decisions pertaining to the sector impacts. And I think, just to reiterate, in conversations that I've had with the folks at NSFA and other stakeholder groups, they really value the agricultural extension and applied research that they've had access to, and it's been perceived as a really responsive, predictable, quick service that they could access that impacts what they do almost immediately on an annual basis. So this part was really important, and they're worried that they're going to lose their voice in setting the priorities for the organization. Their second point, recruitment and retention of qualified specialists is key to the success of the extension and applied research mandates of the organization. It is unclear whether strategic recruitment and retention strategies will be in alignment with the proposed hierarchical structure. And so, again, this organization has been working really well. I mean, before it gets pulled down, I would encourage folks to go have a look at their website for the impressive types of information and work that they do. Their financial statements are there for all to look at. And it's largely been a self-sustaining organization, and it's hard to understand actually how it's going to work in its new entity and its new organization. And I think what NSFA here is emphasizing within that is their concern about what's happening to folks who have been employees or consultants of Perennia and how they will work with this being under the direct purview of the minister, and with the need to work more tightly with the structures inherent in public service employment. Their third point, successful extension and applied research requires strategic partnership with industry stakeholders. It is essential that Perennia grow these strategic partnerships to ensure the continued development of the industry. And again, I think it's very concerning that here we have the major agricultural stakeholder group that represents, and just let me find, just under 2,000 registered farm businesses in Nova Scotia, and yet they had no idea this was coming forward. They weren't consulted. There was actually no clear idea why this is being done. The minister has not chosen to share the rationale, the research, the analysis about why this proposed change. And you know, I think 2,000 members of NSFA were caught off guard with this proposal. With the broad mandate of the advisory board, it's important that these do not duplicate the efforts or compete with existing advisory boards, such as the Meat Inspection Board, the Livestock Health Services Board. Additionally, many agencies, boards, and commissions have had vacancies for several years, which has impacted their ability to fulfill their mandates. And so priority must be placed on recruiting board members for all agency, boards, and commission. And I will say that anytime that I meet with a stakeholder group in the agriculture sector, the gaps of appointments is of serious concern. It has been since September 2021. People have repeated to me as recently as a couple weeks ago. So you can see that the NSFA and its members are concerned about how, in fact, they can anticipate supporting the industry going forward. Perhaps most important, I'll go back to the letter. Perhaps most importantly, the message we wish to make clear is the essential need for the government of Nova Scotia and the Department of Agriculture specifically to engage meaningfully, consistently, and authentically with industry and the farm families through NSFA and commodity organizations. Again, this is the major stakeholder in the agriculture sector who was not engaged, didn't call for this wasn't on their radar, and we have had no rationale presented for why this change is being proposed. And they go on to say an advisory board cannot replace this necessary action. More from the letter. Further, we must assert that this legislation cannot impact Perennia's ability to maintain and grow its partnerships and relationships with stakeholders. That impact, intentional or not, would effectively fracture the strong relationship that the industry has built with our partners. And they end by saying we strongly believe in the importance of accountability and transparency through effective governance practices, and respectfully request that the board mandate a strategic direction of Perennia be industry-led. So with that, I would invite the minister to respond to this and to offer up perhaps any amendments that can be made to actually respond to the 2,000 members of the Nova Scotia Federation of Agriculture. Thank you.